So this is going to be Zeka in the YueYang, the Tier 10 Pan-Asian destroyer of awesomeness, of greatness, of all that kind of stuff. She used to be very strong, then she got like giga nerfed by Wargaming, and then she got rebuffed by Wargaming. So she's a little bit of a fun boat there. She's got the ability to mount either smoke or radar, and she's got deep water torpedoes. The deep water torpedoes are good for obviously any cruisers or battleships or carriers, but those deep water torpedoes will not hit submarines or destroyers. So keep that in mind when you're facing YueYangs in a destroyer. You can laugh all the way because you don't care about the torpedoes. Other than that, she's still a fun boat. I remember ranking out in her and just loving the hell out of it. What's up, Kaze? So let's take a look at Zeka's build, shall we? Zeka's got main armaments mod 1, engine room protection, torpedo tubes modification 1, propulsion mod 1, and the unique upgrade improved main artillery. We'll come back to that in a moment, and torpedo tubes modification 2. So, I mean, deep water torps should hit something on subs, in my opinion. But, you know, like hitting a sub at 60 meter would be hilarious. But I digress. So, anyways. So Zeka's gone for a very strong torpedo focus. He hasn't picked up the radar modification here. You could do that. Action time of 30 seconds is nice. The radar module, of course, gives you a little bit more action time. It does help you for dealing with destroyers and smoke and that sort of thing. But protecting your engines is also very important, so I can understand that. Let's get to your fifth slot here. So improved main artillery is the unique upgrade for the YueYang. It helps her main battery reload quite a bit. It also acts very much like this to help your surveillance radar action time by 20% and or your smoke, so you can choose one of these and it helps with it. So yeah, so that's when you get the diminishing return, because you've got that and you've got that as well. It might make sense. The big thing is it helps you become more of a gunboat, but I find it interesting you're being a gunboat and you're also being a torp boat. SAT, what do you think about that?
I kind of agree. It sounds like you're trying to do both, but this seems kind of a weird combination. Usually just double down on guns or torpedoes.
Right. The traditional YueYang would be to use, you know, you'd go for concealment here, and then you'd probably still spec for guns so that if you get into a gunfight, you'll win the gunfight. So like here you would pick the main battery. I suppose what Zeka's thinking is, I can do both. I can do this, and then I can do torpedoes. I get it, but I don't know. We'll have to see how you play it out. The thing is, it is famous for exploding. That is true. And this helps make it even more explodey, right? Because of the 50% risk of torp tubes being incapacitated.
Yeah.
With the addition of torpedo reload booster, torpedo tube modification 2 is less helpful. It's still good, but you've got the ability to burst reload your torpedoes, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I get putting it here. I agree with putting torpedo tube in the third slot, but I think I might go guns here just to get... I mean, what's your 2.89 seconds reload? Wow. That's sexy.
It does come at the cost of having like gearing levels of it's basically gearing DPM, but your concealment 6.4, which is notably worse.
Right. Right. So, but you know, with the radar, you still have the ability to stealth radar, which means if you're detected, you can pop the radar and find out who's detecting you. So that's okay. But yeah, it does hurt you in the stealth game, supposedly. So and that's why like this kind of hurts your ability to torpedo things as efficiently too. So usually if you're going torpedoes, you go for the stealth. So that's an interesting one. That's fine. We've gabbed on it enough, but part of the reason, for those of you guys who are new, the reason why we go through the build is because a lot of times the build is just as important as the game itself. So you've got Sao Bing on this. This is the right replay. Well, good. So you've got Sao Bing on this. Now, he's got some interesting talents, right? If you get Combat Scout, this helps your main battery reload time, which is even crazier if you think about, the gun reload we were talking about earlier. Now, also, if you hit enemy ships with torpedoes 6 times, your torpedoes become faster, your torpedo reload booster cools down faster, and you get an extra charge of it. I mean, it's a ridiculous talent for him. And then there's also potential damage. This is probably not going to happen as much, but every 1.5 million HP potential damage, you do get a buff to your reload for your consumables. So that's neat. But the big one is the torpedoes, though. Okay. This is a 20-point captain, preventative maintenance, last stand, survivability expert, concealment expert, fearless brawler. Makes sense. You're not taking smoke, so you're going to radar something and gun it down, and you're spotted while you're gunning. Okay. Adrenaline rush is fine. Sao Bing is good on Jinan too, yeah. And obviously you put it on premium ships like Lucian. So you've got fill the tubes for maximum torpedo spam. Like that, okay. And then where are you going to put your last point then, Zeka?
That should go to consumables expert or consumable specialist.
That's what I was thinking too. Especially you get your torpedo reload booster quicker.
It's literally that captain special skill, but actually better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Andy says, would you recommend him on YueYang over Jinan? Yes, because with YueYang you're going to get Combat Scout. You're not going to get Combat Scout with a Jinan. I mean, you could.
You shouldn't.
But you really shouldn't, because you're probably dead right when you get Combat Scout. It's just Jinan. So, yeah. If you really want to maximize the utility of Zhenbing, you're going to want to put him on a Pan-Asian destroyer. You could also put him on Kunming if you play Kunming more than YueYang, but, whatever. Anything else with the build here that we want to talk about? I don't.
So I feel like since you're speccing so heavily into guns, you may as well go all the way.
Yeah. Used to run a full gun build, but hated how long you had to wait to torp battleships. Okay. So that's why you did this. We'll have to see how you play it out. I mean, this is one of those things where I think it comes down to... I always talk about this. What matters most is how people play the ship with the build that they have chosen. So let's see what happens there and how it all works out,
Did you ever consider using smoke, by the way?
I think
with this build, you have a lot of DPM, but it's not very safe to use in a YY. So you're kind of limited to islands and fighting against destroyers.
Right. I think what Zeka's trying to get at is with battleships that are very aggressive, it's difficult for him to gun them down, whereas torpedoes, obviously, it's the quicker, kill. So I think that's what he's getting at there. I agree with you. Smoke would be useful if you want to be, more of a gunboat focused setup. But the other thing I want to mention is you could also drop fill the tubes and pick up radio location. If you do go smoke, then there's no need for Fearless Brawler, so that saves you the points to go for radio location. If you're going to gun as well without smoke, you could always add Dazzle. You do sometimes run smoke and divs. Okay. So if that's the case, I would drop Fearless Brawler altogether, just so that you've got the flexibility to swap back and forth and get maximum use out of your captain build. And maybe I'd go radio location there. And then if you want to do torpedo still, that's fine.
Radio location would serve this build better. This build looks almost like the ideal anti-destroyer build, except you have torpedoes and no RPF.
Right, exactly. I think this is the missing piece to really help ensure that, especially in a ranked battle, you can just carry, but also in a randoms. Okay. For signal flags, you've got ramming flag, fire chance, and flood chance. Flood chance, fire chance. You've got fire extinguishing, heal or HP, speed, and consumables. I don't see anything that you could possibly be missing here. So that's fine. You don't usually swap the build around since you use your smoke for your cruisers, so you still benefit from Fearless Brawler. Okay, so when you're saying... Go ahead.
If you're not shooting guns, you don't benefit.
Right. Right. At that point, you might as well go Swift and Silence for the extra ship speed. But anyway, I digress. Don't do that, by the way, chat. Okay, let's get into the replay then and see how the game plays out. Here we go.
Like, the reason I keep bringing it up is because YY is not a very tanky destroyer. She doesn't have the HP to gun in open water for too long.
Chaos, great question. Why would you want a ram flag on a destroyer? And you used to not really want it, but now that submarines exist, there's a lot of times where you can accidentally or purposely crash into a sub. One of the most common tactics that subs will do is, if now especially that shotgunning is no longer a thing, is that they will try to surface and crash into you. Because if they're using the ram flag and you aren't, then they'll get you killed. No, don't worry about it. No need to apologize. It's a fantastic question. Guys, any questions you have for this game, please ask. That's why we are here. This is a learning stream. Also meant to be entertaining at the same time. So hopefully you are all entertained. Standard battle. Tier 10 straights. Shinano on the enemy team, Midway on your team. No submarines. You're competing with La Pampa and gearing for torpedo weight. Hoffman's got Hydro. Chat windows blocking. So you've got YueYang and Holland for your destroyers. Oh, it's another way subs are pay to win because you're forced to use ram flags. Well, at least ram flags are cheap. Standard battle is a frustrating game mode. I do agree. And what makes standard battle frustration is because you mentally should draw a line through the map at the halfway point, and typically you don't want to go much past right before that line. About one grid square worth before. It's a little bit harder to illustrate that on this map because it's a rotated 45-degree map, which makes it even more worse in my opinion. But mentally, you don't want to go past this point because you need to be able to come back to defend if the other flank loses, for example.
From a destroyer's perspective, one of your main roles is to contest caps. Now, this mode takes away one of those roles. So I can definitely understand it too. It's great for damage farming, just not if you're actually trying to play a destroyer. If you're the way it's intended.
I almost always get the standard battle when I have a mission to get base caps or decaps for dockyard or whatever. I almost always get it. As soon as a Salem gets spotted, you're looking for torp angles. I don't see why not. The only concern you might have is if there's a destroyer that's in front of the Salem, so you need to be thinking about that.
I wouldn't focus on Salem torp angles because he's already proposed to the island. They just need to sign the marriage papers. What are you gonna do?
Yep. Hey, Elastic. Valentine flag have ram signal capabilities. There you go. That would be kind of funny, actually. The kiss flag. All right, you're detected. Dump and radar and shoot.
This is literally the most perfect destroyer you could run across.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Number one, you ruined his smoke screen. Number two, he's got nothing for guns. So you should be able to win this, assuming he doesn't duck behind his smoke.
I would have slowed down right here. You need to dump as much DPM as you can into him.
Yep.
Also, by the way, nice radar duration.
So you unfortunately disengaged a little bit early. Now you got Shinano coming after you, but they're AP skip bombers, so what do you care about?
Torpedoes to starboard. Torpedoes to stern.
And you got this. You actually hit the Salem. Lol. 2 torpedo hits with a flood on the Salem.
Good, he deserved it.
Boost activated.
If you slowed down and had a few more seconds of radar, it's possible you might have actually killed the La Pampa.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, and was gun focused too.
Right. It's very similar to the Kiev build that we just talked about with OT2, right? The recognizing the ability to slow down, get some more damage in by speeding up and then turning and changing position. You basically let him go. But fortunately for you, he's right there again.
You're doing You're doing a good job of dodging, though.
This is not max radar because he does not have the radar module in slot 2. Yes, this is a good job of dodging. Yes. This Shinano is wasting so much time on you with the skip bombers. That's a good thing for you. I'd be gunning the La Pampa, by the way.
I would consider it good because he's still like dodging a few shots. It's more like he's just it doesn't feel good to be in the situation, but he's helping his team a lot.
And your Puerto Rico just YOLOs through and doesn't even shoot at the La Pampa. He shoots at the Yamato.
Yes, because he's seen the commercial. He's seen the commercial. Sink the
And
Yamato.
sink the Yamato. That's the one. All right. Well, let's see what happens.
Concentrate fire on the enemy warship. Engine boost deactivated.
I really don't like that the La Pampa got away.
It's not always a bad thing. The Yamato, if the Pampa did get away, Yamato might be inclined to run away, and that means 0 damage.
Okay. The gap was the downfall, yep. Yeah, YueYang is usually do either guns or torps. This is an example of an attempt to do both. And the problem is when you try to do both, oftentimes you'll do both poorly.
Like, you can in theory build into guns or torps, but wargaming heavily encourages you to go into torpedoes.
Right, and I think the best thing to do for this ship is to go into guns because you want to win a gunfight with the destroyer. That's the main thing that can counter you. Hey, look, the Pampa
Okay.
just donating. Okay.
This little Pampa loves you.
He really does. He wants to assert his dominance, but he can't. I mean, it's like a 5th grader picking a fight on a high school senior. It's just, don't do it.
You can do it. No one's stopping you.
What's up, Wandering Gears? So you... why did... The Yamato was running away, and then you dumped more torpedoes at a running away Yamato. You go to hell. I love that name. That's awesome. How you doing?
He's got nothing better to do. At this point, I just start opening up.
Yeah. When you said nothing better to... Gun the Yamato. Like, gun this one. You know?
Sink the Yamato.
Yeah.
Engine
Why
boost
not?
activated.
Commercial break in progress. Your ex-wife gave you the tag. There you go.
So the reason why we want you to open up is because of a few reasons. Yamato's turret traverse isn't very good, so they have to turn the ship in order to try and hit you. That you'll see coming from a mile away. And second, you need damage.
Yeah. And third, you got nothing else better to do anyway. I mean, your team is tied. What you really need to do is you need to win this flank as soon as you possibly can so that you can then go to the other side and support them, because they're losing over on the other side.
Shinano doing team play?
Yep. Enemy Shinano doing team play and also coming after you with the bombs.
That is illegal. You should report him.
Well, fortunately for you, he doesn't care about his HE bombers doing ridiculous damage to you. Instead wants to drop the Yamato. Everybody wants to sink the Yamato. There
I
you
assume
go.
he turned away just in case he did try to drop you.
Makes perfect sense. All right, I would forget the Montana, and I'd just go straight to the middle of the map.
Ooh, this does present a good dilemma. If you go back, you could potentially destroy the push coming in.
That's the
But
point.
if you go forward, you could go take the cap.
Or the carrier. You could kill the carrier too. You gotta kill the creature.
The carrier counts as a Yamato, right?
Yes. Sink the Yamato! Alright, now you're looking to see how healthy is your team against them. So Zeka right now is weighing his options. And to be quite honest, with how poorly the enemy team is pushing, I understand the decision not to go back. Yeah, you can force them to split off. If you'll note, the Moskva has already left. So the problem with that thinking, in my opinion, Zeka, is Montana, Goliath, and Schlieffen are all the way up on the A line. They're not gonna turn around. You know what I mean? They're gonna tell the rest of their team, go get the cap, or go, So, I mean, the only other ship that you could force to turn around is the Hoffman. So you're not gonna get.
Is actually your biggest threat.
And that's the other part of it. So, I kind of feel like there's no need in this point to threaten the cap. Oh, look, there's the Moskva. This is random battles, Crablanche. This is a random battle.
Oof.
And thanks to Electric, my lights are still going off. Yes, right, the Moskva turned, but the Moskva turned far before you even got in the cap. So what I'm saying is your argument of, I'm going to get in the cap and encourage them to turn around, Moskva had already turned around long before.
Ow.
Now you going into the cap will also probably summon the Shinano's planes to spot you.
If you had smoke, this would have been fine, but
Yeah.
you have radar and 9k HP, and you're staring at a Moskva.
Not anymore. Now it's playtime. Now it's playtime. Don't shoot yet. Oh crap! I can't do it anymore. I was gonna pause and show you guys a neat little trick that you can use, but then you looked away. Ooh, bombers coming from there. So the Shinano has moved up to about here, which makes sense. He's gonna run with his flank that is secured.
Oh, yep. Good job noticing the Hoffman. I was about to wonder, where'd the Hoffman go?
Radar's a little bit too early.
That was a bit premature.
But at least the Hoffman is very low. But the Hoffman sank the Yamato. Good kill.
Fortunately, Hoffman was actually a low HP. I don't think you ever saw if he was at full or zero, right?
No, he had never been spotted up until this point. So, I don't think that... And I think when he was spotted, it was so far away, the game didn't draw him, draw the ship on the screen. So the little side panel didn't update. Well,
Alright, so that's pretty fortunate.
You've got but one last thing to do, Zeka, which is to go and sink the Shinano, because the Montana's probably going to die anyway. Garrus, I'd love to do that. Unfortunately, the lights don't quite work that way.
Yeah. The problem at MK is that we never saw his HP bar, so we didn't know if Zeka was fighting a full HP or a 0 HP.
And rip the
if
Shikishima
Hoffman
out.
was full HP, then Zeka would be submitting a death pick.
At this point, the game is pretty much over. No. I mean, well, Montana and Goliath probably aren't going to make it over on the cap.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, the enemy Montana won't do much, and I assume your teammates up there a little bit on the shaky end, but they should have it.
Yeah. I mean, your Holland at least knows not to use his guns, so there's that. Yeah, you might as well cap him out. I don't disagree with you there.
What? That's the wrong move. No, what you should be doing is sink the Montana, jump out the cap at the last second, then hunt the Shinano.
Team has taken
And sink the Shinano. So, well, there goes your Montana. Or there goes, I'm sorry, there goes their Montana and your Hindenburg. You're on the tier 8. Okay, the YueYang. You find you have to have team support a lot more. Yes, you do. Why win harder? Just because it's more fun.
Yes, you want stats. If
Yes,
you want
you
to
want
make
PR.
yourself look better than you actually are, then you go
Yes.
for stats.
That's right.
But yes, otherwise the correct play is to just keep dodging in the cap until it's done.
What's up, big boy? You would be getting away from the edge? The edge of what, the cap? Getting away from... Winning is... Right, yeah, of course. Getting away from the edge... The nice thing about being on the edge is you then can turn in and you've got plenty of room to play with, like what you can see here. Win rate sucks anyway. You'd have to reroll to get better stats. Or just get good.
Think of
I'm
it
just
this
kidding.
way. You've already won. Like, it doesn't matter what you do now. So as long as your team doesn't randomly detonate, which can't happen anymore, then you've secured the victory.
Yep.
But you can still
Yep.
always improve. You can pad your stats by just farming more damage.
Right. So, all right. Well, GG's here. I mean, we saw you came in first place. You've done 3 kills. I mean, you got so lucky that La Pampa just... Why? You know? Like, I have no idea what he was trying to do other than just throw his life away for no good reason. Oh, well.
He paid for the ship. And it shows.
Jingles has an entire series dedicated to players with that attitude. Fair. You haven't been hanging out enough note with SAT. See, SAT has the school of anything goes, XP and credit gain. Like that's what he cares about. That's his number one thing. Let me get the lights back up now that we're done with the fireworks. Lots of Y players. Yes, that is true. It is.
And unlike anyone you've seen on Jingle's channel, with the exception of that one BFK replay, I actually know how to win and farm damage.
Right, exactly. Like that one time that you purposely... Actually, there was one time, SAT, that you and I were playing live. Remember this one? Where we were all looking to maximize our damage and we lost the game, all because we thought Rob actually kitted out a ship, and because we
Yes.
didn't have the build viewer, we didn't know.
Then
Yes.
I YOLO'd my Cossack and died. I was like, oh, oops.
SAT didn't just YOLO the Cossack. He rammed a carrier with this Cossack. Purposely didn't shoot the carrier and T-posed on him with the ram. And then that carrier goes and kills Rob because Rob doesn't have aiming system module, so he can't hit the carrier worth crap. We all thought he could. And then I got killed somehow too. And then we're all looking... It was great. It was great. So that's one of the cases where, yeah, you can lose.
It was worth it, though.
So, anyways, back to the replay. Fantastic game. The question was, how did you have blue boosters for all those credits? No. He had, looks like these are, it's 40%, so that's what, the grays or whatever?
That's green.
Green. And then you've got the bonus package, which is the permanent, and then you've got personal merit. So that should be, what, clan? So there you go. So Yeah, it's not blues. But anyway, still a good game. What we're going to do now is pop up the replay render here. And I'll try to put my lights back on again. So we'll do the replay render, and this is the final part of the replay analysis for those of you guys who are new to the channel. We'll go through and oh, the military month. Okay, right. I remember that one. And then after this is done, we're going to transition to live play, guys. Also, I've got codes I need to get rid of, and like I told you, every $100 donated will weed out a code. I want to see that this is working, so I will say it like this: someone go donate, and then as soon as we have some donation of any kind, even $1, I'll yeet out a code just to make sure everything works fine. If you guys can think of any titles for this video, if it makes it out to YouTube, it'd be great to hear what you guys think. Those planes should have yinged when they yanged, yes.
How would it show up on your stream, though?
I do have you mean the donation?
Oh, yes. Because the first link just sends it to the site and looks like it's just a generic donation.
Right. The second link is the one where is the donation link itself.
Okay, Sales of Hope. So in that case, I'd recommend just having the second link, or otherwise it won't credit you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I might have... I figured people might want to know a little bit about what the charity is that they would be donating to. So let me maybe just flip them around or say, like, donate here or something. I don't know. Let's see here.
Ideally, you could also send it to the Where We Work tab. Like what we do, where we work, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What I can do is I'll swap the file and do like this.
Yeah. Otherwise, this is pretty much like this is an excellent example of how Radar YY should be played. And we really had to nitpick in order to get mistakes there. Like, that's how good it is.
Yeah, it's a great boat. It's a great boat. Really enjoy it. I mean, you know, Jack of all trades could be an option for a title. It does work? Okay, good. Thank you, TC. All right, well, I'll figure something out. We'll put maybe Sink the Yamato as a title, okay? All Your Base. Ooh. Cthulhu keeps coming up with the best titles. All Your Base could definitely work. Okay. Well, Zeka, thank you for sending that replay in. I think it was a very good educational opportunity for everybody hanging out, and a great way to showcase what we do over on the replay channel here in the Replay Theater. So